Alright, so here's lesson 2 of our geometry. Today we're focusing on the area of right triangles. Remember yesterday we were focusing on the area of parallelograms. And how do we find the area of a parallelogram? Well, it's my base, however long it is, times its height. Height is that perpendicular line from top to bottom. And all I do is I take the height and the base and I multiply them together. That's all I'm doing from yesterday's lesson. So today we're going to focus on something a little different. Our I can statement is I can justify the area formula for a right triangle by viewing the right angle as part of a rectangle composed of two right triangles. So here we're looking at right triangles and rectangles again, and we're looking for that area. So today we're going to be using right triangles, rectangles, and area. Alright, let's look at our review from yesterday. So we have right angle, parallel, area, and triangle. Where are these words on the left going to be matched up with definitions on the right? Where do you think right angle is going to be matched up with? Right angle means 90 degrees. So it's going to be matched up with anything that has this little line right here. This little line means it's 90 degrees, means it's like the exact same angle as a corner of a paper. Parallel means that they're never intersecting. If we extend two lines forever and ever, and they're parallel, that means they will never touch. They will never cross. Alright, area, this one should be easy. Area is just base times height. And triangle, probably the easiest one of all, is a three-sided shape. So here's a triangle, here is a triangle. These are all triangles. Alright, so now let's look at this one. What are some properties or facts? So notice this comma is giving us a definition of properties. So properties means facts about. So what are some properties or facts about of a right triangle? Alright, so what do you know about them? Well, you should know this. What angle must be 90 degrees or a right angle? So you'll notice on here, where is that 90 degrees? Well, it's this right here. That is the same angle as the corner of a piece of paper. The next thing you should know is it's a three-sided polygon or shape. Is there anything else that you think we missed? Those are the only things I can think about for facts that we've discussed so far. Alright, so here's your next objective. If you're on the computers, you're going to be doing this as well. I want you to complete the exploratory challenge with your group or the person sitting next to you. Alright, hopefully when you are looking at triangles x and x and rectangle x, hopefully you were able to see that this was its area. You have two ways of doing that. The first is you could just count up the boxes. You could see that this is one whole box. This is almost one right here. But when I add it with this tiny little piece, we see it matches right here. So this is two whole pieces. And then this part of a triangle right up here, you'll notice this shape also matches this shape. So if I slide this one up over here, this would make a hole as well. So you can see it's 1, 2, 3. Is there another way we could have figured it out? Well, there's a reason why I gave you two x's for your triangles. Can we easily find the shape or the area of this shape? Yeah, this is 3 and 2, so area is base times height, so that is 3 times 2 equals 6. Now, what did you notice about these two triangles? Well, if we add them together, we get that same shape. Now, we've cut this shape in half to get this. So each of these x triangles is half of 6, which is what? 3. That's the same thing we got when I went 1, 2, 3. So here, you'll notice this, 3 times 2, that's the area of my rectangle, and then we're taking half of it. So what I'm thinking the formula for right triangle is this. It's half of its base times height. What does this base times height mean? Well, this is the area of a rectangle. And you'll notice a right triangle only takes up half of it. Let's look at the second example. Let's see if we get the same thing. Well, what's my area? Well, I have 1, 2, 3. This part is going to match this part, so that will be 4. And you'll see this square is cut right in half, so this is only going to be a half. So if I count my boxes for area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, let's check to see if that's the same thing. What's the area of this total square? Well, it's 3 and 3, so its area equals 3 times 3, so its area equals 9. And then what am I doing? Well, it looks like I'm cutting it in half. So this shape right here matches this. So I cut it in half. What is 9 divided by 2? Well, that's 9 divided by 2. Goes in 4 times, 8, 1. I have to add that decimal, and then I can add zeros after it. And look at that, 4.5 is the area of half of this rectangle. And that's what we had when I counted the squares as well. So, my area of the given rectangle is 1/2 times 3 equals 4.5. And yeah, that matched what I supposed or I guessed on this side. So the area for a right triangle is 1/2 base times height. Again, what does this base times height represent in this formula? Well, that is my area of the rectangle. In a triangle, I'm only taking half of it. So see right here, my triangle is only half of the whole entire rectangle or square. Alright, so critical thinking. What do you suppose the area is for all right triangles? We've looked at just 2 examples. What do you think it is for every single right triangle? For this right triangle, for this right triangle, for this right triangle. What do you think its area is? Well, if you guess this, then you are correct. How do we know that this formula is correct? Well, a right triangle is half of a rectangle. If we look back at this example, we see that this right triangle is half of this. We see these right triangles are half of this. So we know it's correct because we have our rectangle and then we're only taking a half of it. So here's our big question. How can we know which side of a right triangle is the base and which side is the height? So let me rephrase it using this example. If I have this triangle, how do I know where's my base, where's my height? Is it 5 times 4? Is it 3 times 4? Is it 5 times 3? Well, think back to that rectangle and those parallelograms from yesterday. Our base and height must intersect to form a right angle. So wherever you see that right angle forming, so right here in these examples, that's going to be your base and height. So here's my base, here's my height. Here is my base, here is my height. It is not the slant. So you're looking for where the intersection is for that right angle. All right, let's go to our next one. All right, you have 8 problems that you're going to complete by yourself. All right, let's check how you did. All right, so hopefully you have all 8 done. So your first one, my base times height, I'm looking for that intersection of the right angle. So here, so my base and height. So it's going to be area equals 8 times 15. So I'm going to stack them. My area is 120 feet squared. My next one, I'm looking for my right angle where it intersects. So it's going to be the sides that have that right angle. So it's going to be 17.7 and 11.4. And I'm just going to multiply them. And then I add, so I will get 8, 7, 1, 0, and there are how many decimals? 1, 2, so it's going 1, 2 over. So my answer is 301.78 centimeters squared. All right, here's my next one. Again, this one's tilted a little bit, but all I'm doing is I'm looking for that right angle. So here is my base, here is my height. Area equals 6 times 8. My area equals 48 inches squared. All right, let's look at our next one. All right, so my next one, you'll notice it has fractions with it, but the process is still the same. I'm looking for that right angle, and my base and height are whichever sides touch that right angle. So 8 2/3. 5 3/5. So it's going to be area equals 8 2/3 times 5 3/5. So I need to convert these to these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I multiply, this will give me 24, and I add, which gives me 26. Multiply and add. Times multiply is 25 and add is 28. And then what do? I multiply straight across. So this will be 15. And then I multiply straight across up here. So I'm going to do my work right up here. 28 and 26. Carry the 4. Add that 0 as a placeholder. And then I add. Okay, there's my answer. Is that my final answer? No. I need to add my units, meters squared. And then I need to bring this back to what? Back to a mixed number. So I have a whole and a fraction. So I need to do 728 divided by 15. This will go in 4 times to give me 60 with the remainder of 12. 8. This will go in 8 times for 120. Remainder of 8. So my answer is 48 and 8/15 meters squared. Okay, my next one. Same thing, I look for that right angle. The sides that touch that right angle are my base and height. So it's going to be 32.7 times 21.4. Now, I just multiply across for 8 carry that 2, 0, and there's 2 decimals. So this is 699.78 kilometers squared. All right. Did you guys notice something that was forgotten? It was all the way back at the very beginning. How do I find areas of triangles? Remember, my area of triangles is area equals 1/2 base times height. What did I do in all these problems? I just did base times height. Remember, right triangles is you're only taking half of a whole rectangle. So I now need to divide all of these by 1/2. So divide by 2, so this will be actually 60 feet squared is the correct answer. This is not my answer because that's the area of the whole entire rectangle. In a right triangle, I'm only taking half. So I need to divide this also by 2 because I'm only taking half of it. So I have 301.78 divided by 2 for 150. Bring that decimal up. There's my final answer, 150.89 centimeters squared. I did the same thing with these. This is the area, 48 inches squared, of if I had a whole rectangle. And I need to find the area of just half of it. So I need to divide this by 2. So 48 divided by 2 is 24 inches squared. And then this right here, I also need to what? Divide by 2. So 48 divided by 2, 48 divided by 2 is 24. Uh-oh. And I can't divide a fraction by 2. So what do I need to do? I need to, again, change it back to a mixed number. The good thing is I left this information here for us for that very reason. So this was 728 over 15. And I am dividing it by 2. So remember, that's multiplying by 1/2. So this is 728 over 30, since I'm multiplying straight across. So now what am I going to do? Well, now I can do the exact same thing I did over here, only it's going to be a 30 instead of 15. Actually, let me just rewrite the whole entire thing. This is going to go in 2 times with a remainder of 12. Bring down the 8. This is going to go in 4 times with a remainder of what? 8. That's going to be 8 over 30. And I can reduce this, divide by 2 to 4 15ths. So my final answer is going to be what? My final answer is 24 and 4 15ths meters squared. I've seen a lot of people do all their hard work, but they forget that a triangle is only half of a rectangle. So you have to make sure you're dividing by a half. So the same thing here. Oops, I deleted my final answer. I have to take this number and I have to divide it by 2 because I'm only taking half of this space. So this is going to be 3, 9, 2 goes in 4 times for 8 with a remainder of 1. This goes in 9 times for 18 with a remainder of 1. I add that decimal. This will go in 6 times. I'm sorry, not 6. This will go in 8 times with a remainder of 1 because this will be 16. So I'm just going to put that 1 there because that's what's left, and an 8. That will go in 9 times. So my final answer is 349.89 kilometers squared. Okay, here are your next ones that you had already solved. Mr. Wimbley told his students they each need a half of a piece of paper. Ernan cut his paper horizontally, and Tony cut his piece of paper diagonally. Which student has the larger area on their half of paper? Explain. Well, it wasn't Ernan, and it wasn't Tony's. They're the same. The area of this shape is the same area as this shape. They have the same base, they have the same height, so it's the same area. And each person is taking what? Each person is taking 1/2 of that. So what does that mean? Well, if the area of this whole shape was 10, then the area of this whole shape is 10, because they have the same area. And Ernan took half of 10, so half of 10 is 5. Tony took half of 10, so it is 5. So they actually have the same area. Okay, so here is our next one. Jose requests that the rectangular stage be split into 2 equal sections for the upcoming school play. The only instruction he gave was that he needed the area of each section to be half of the original size. If Jose wants the stage to be split in 2 right rectangles, so 2 right rectangles would look like this. This was the stage. He wants it to be split diagonally, so as a rectangle here and a rectangle here. Did he provide enough information? Why or why not? Well, the answer is no, he didn't provide enough information. And why is that? Well, the stage could be split horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. All he's saying is he wants the stage to be half of its original size. He wants it to be half of the original size for each section. Well, here is half, and here is half, but that's not 2 right triangles. Here is half, and here is half, but that's not 2 right triangles. So we see there are 3 possibilities, but since Jose didn't say diagonally, he didn't give enough information for them. Okay, your last one is, if the area of a right triangle is 6.22 square inches, and its base is 3.11 inches, write an equation that shows how the area is related to the height and the base. Solve the equation to determine the height. Well, my area formula is this. Area equals 1/2 times base times height. I know this is the area, so that's going to go right here. And its base is 3.11, so that's going to go here. So I'm just going to fill that in, just copy it down, and there is my equation. So it was asking me to write an equation, and that is what I did here. My next part says it needs to be solved, so I need to find what this h is. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to get rid of this part right here. So I need to multiply 1/2 times 3.11. So what do? Well, I can take a number and put it over 1, and then I multiply straight across. So this will be 3.11 over 2. I can't have decimals and fractions, so now I need to divide. So it's 3.11 divided by 2. This goes in 1 time. Bring that decimal up. Goes in 5 times. Bring that one down. This goes in 5 times. need to add that 0 because I've run out of placeholders. And it goes in 5 times with no remainder. So now I have enough information to make it look a little bit easier. I divided my left side to get that 1.55. So I'm left with this equation. Now I need to make this h. Remember, from equations, your variable always has to be alone. So I need to make this h by itself. So I divide each side by 1.55. So yes, it is a lot of work. But again, I told you at the very beginning of geometry, all you have to do is learn how to find areas of rectangles and triangles, and you would be all set. As long as you know your fractions and decimals. So I have 6.22 divided by 1.555. So I'm going to add a 0. This goes in how many times? I'm just going to guess 3. That decimal moves 1, 2, 3 spots. 1, 2, 3 spots. That decimal will go right here. 15, 16, 16, and 4. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Now look, this number's the exact same as that. So what does that mean? That means this number was too small. I need to increase it by 1. When you subtract, that number should always be less than that. So that means this is going to be 4. And I'm just going to rewrite my problem to make it a little nicer looking. This will be 20, carry the 2, 22, carry the 2, 22, carry the 2, and 6. So look at that. When I divided this, it equals 4. So that means 4 equals h, because this is going to equal 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. All right, so closing. How are the area formulas for rectangles and triangles related? How is the area for this related to this? Well, it's easy. It's both base times height. The only difference is with a triangle, you're only taking half of it. So it's 1/2 times base times height, since you're only taking half of a rectangle. A rectangle is just base times height. All right, here are your exit tickets. When you are done, go to Khan Academy. You're to do 1 lesson. When you're done with that 1 lesson, you may go to math games. All right. Good luck.